Hello, this is Gina Tudela. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I'm going to share with you how to create a monochromatic card. And what that means, it's one color on white. So here we go, and we'll be using the Beautiful Daisy Bundle. Anyways, I'm going to show you the card itself first, and then I'm going to turn the camera around. Whoops, you get it right side up. That is the Daisy card. And when you open it, this is the inside. So, let's get started. Okie dokie. Well, first off, you need a piece of balmy blue at 4 1/4 by 11. So when it's 8 1/2 by 11, you're going to cut at 4 1/4 on the 8 1/2 side. That's my post-it notes that keep me up to par. Next, you're going to take your Stampin' Trimmer. You're going to slide this all the way over to 5 1/2. Get that cutter out of the way. We don't need it right now. We're going to score that. And just go over it a couple of times. Then we're going to slide it back through and bring it to 2 3/4 and cut straight down. With the new cutter, you don't need to press on it. Just glide it. It's got the same type of blade, the point, as our paper snips. And we're going to put this off to the side because we can use that for scrap. And then we're just going to go ahead and fold this. Let me move the trimmer out of the way. And we're going to use our bone folder and make that a nice even crisp. And I'm going to move that out of the way for the time being. Now I'm using the diagonal lines, and this came in a package. This DSP has retired, but you can use any type of DSP when it's one color for doing monochromatic, and just have your cardstock match the same thing. So this is from the Dandy Designs. And so this is measurement is a 3 by 4 inch. And then we're just going to add some multi-purpose glue to it. We gotta get this thing started. Whoops, too much. Spread that out. Don't want, yeah. There we go. And just do a small X in the center. I should have had that standing vertically up, so that way it would have been right there for me. And then we're gonna place this. Christmas. Oh, I made a foobar. Well, y'all saw that. So, I did this too big. That's all right. I'm going to just bring this over. Show you how that is. I cut too much off is what I did. And I'll just bring this up. And then I'll take the bone folder. I got glue on my fingers there. Alrighty. Just smooth that out. Then I can just trim that off later. So, as soon as the glue is dry, I'll trim that off. Next, we're going to go ahead and do the inside. And the inside piece is 4 by 5 1/4 of the basic white. And it's on page 123. And I forgot to be reading those page numbers off. But that's all right. One of those things. And we're going to take the balmy blue. So if any of y'all are new to the pads, they have changed 3 times. Now they're the best because they're already sitting where they should be. You're just going to grab that little flop. See that little indentation there? And just pull. You can slide it in, but if you don't need to, if you don't want to. And when they're brand new, they are tight. So if you take a Q-tip and with a little bit of Vaseline, you can run it down the railing here, and it helps glide it. So now we're going to take the Cheerful Daisies stamp set. These are photopolymer stamps. So when you first get them, they're all on this. But then they have the images here where you can actually place them on. So I didn't want to get them mixed up with the different ones. So I wanted to keep that separate. So we're going to go ahead and use, and they're upside down when you're looking at it. But here I'll show you the picture of them. Cheerful. And they have a matching die set. So I use my grid paper to help me line it up on the block straight. And then you just press straight down on it. When you're inking up your stamps, you just want to walk it across the pad. You don't want to press down, because then you'll get a blob of ink, especially when the pads are brand new. And I'm just going to stamp that right there in the center, wishing you the brightest birthday. And then where I do with my chamois. I'm going to clean this off. So, yes, it looks wear and tear, doesn't it? It gets used quite a bit. So when you take your photopolymer stamps off, it's very important, especially when they're small and skinny. I have torn one. You don't want to do it, so you just take your time, slowly pulling up, and either, if you don't have time to place it back there straight, just put it on the inside of your case, because these will stick to anything and everything. Believe me when I state that. Next, we're going to go ahead and stamp the 3 daisies. And then we're going to stamp these off. So, just set it on here. So I'm just going to ink it up. Okay, which, y'all see what I did? I got it on backwards. That's the easy mistake you can do. But when you want a solid image, I'll show you what I'm talking about. When it's a photopolymer, you really have 2 stamps in one. So watch this. You stamp that. Now I'll clean that off with the stamp. With this. That's how you can get a shadow effect. So it's like getting 2 stamps in one. So this is the way it was supposed to be. Oh my gosh. I've already made two mistakes so far, and I haven't even gone halfway through the card. Anyways, so I want to stamp it off so I have a light version. And we'll stamp this one off twice to have a lighter version. Okay? And you can stamp your ink in the Memento black and then do the blue flowers, and you don't have to stamp off. But remember this one I said? Look at this. Gives you like, it looks like a watercolor background. So if you wanted that to be like a light green and then stamp different color flowers, pink, blue, yellow. I wouldn't do it on blue with yellow because that would turn green. But anyway, just to give you a heads up. And you clean the stamp back off. And flip it over and clean the other side. And then put this back in the case. All right. So the inside's done. We're going to go ahead and glue this on. Hopefully I don't get a blob of glue since I had it vertically sit down. Perfect. This is wonderful. Okay. I always do a little X in the center so that way it doesn't buckle up. You don't have to. That's just me. We're each our own creator, so you can do what fits best for you. Some people like to use the dry tape. I like to use the wet glue tape, especially when it comes to centering, because it gives you time to readjust it. Okay, so this one's had time to dry. So let me go ahead and trim this off with the paper snips. So there we go. Of course, I didn't bring a trash can, so I just have to put all my garbage up here. All right, there's that. So the next step is this flap. This one is, let me close the pad. Well, I don't need to close it up because we'll be using it again. I'll just move it out of the way. This is a 3 1/4 by 5 of Balmy Blue cardstock. Let me take my little note off of here. And you're going to mount this one just about even on either side, here and here. But what you want to make sure is you're going to mark it so you know not to go past that area with your glue or your dry tape or your tear tape, or you can use dimensionals too. But a lot of the stampers I stamp with, that makes it bulky and it asks for extra postage. So we're going to try to keep from that because I'm going to use dimensionals on the daisies. So you see how much glue I put there? Just that amount. Then we're going to lay this back on here. We're going to eye from here to here and here to here. Okay. I move my tools here out of the way. So that part's done. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to use this beautiful, I'm going to put that note there, Fern 3D embossing folder. You probably can't see it very well, but I'm going to bring it closer up to the camera. That way you can see it. And it's on page 168. So, and the piece of paper I'm putting in there is a 3 inch by 4 3/4 of the basic white, which is on page 123 of the annual catalog. And just in case you're new to Stampin' Up! And you do not have a demonstrator in your local area, you're welcome to contact me to receive a catalog. But do reach out to your demonstrators in your local area, because it's nice to gather up and get together and meet everybody, especially when they have stamping events. So I'm going to bring my big machine and move that ink pad out of the way. And this is a Stampin'Cut and Emboss machine. And it's on page 153 of the annual catalog. So when you're using the 3D embossing folders, this is very important. You only need to use the main platform number 1. You put that on. Then you put your paper inside the embossing folder and try to center it. This one, it doesn't really matter. But if it has details like words or stuff and you kind of want it, or lines, you kind of want it even. So I always show the ladies to, and the crafters and stampers, to center it. So you're going to lay that in the center of your platform. Then you're going to bring in number 4. It's the gray one. And it sits right up on top. Now, if you're using the mini die cut machine, you want to stagger your plates. You don't want to have them lined up. But on the big one, you do want to line them up. And you're just going to roll it through there. And you don't have to roll backwards. You just need to roll one time. I'm just going to move this out of the way for the time being. I don't need it right now. And wait till you see this. See those? And it does it 2 ways. You can have it raised up on one side, or you can have it inverted. So, okay. So, whenever you do embossing, you do need to use either tear tape, dimensionals, or the multipurpose, the Tumbo multipurpose glue, because the dry tape won't it won't stay down unless you use the heavy duty that we have in the annual catalog. So see how much glue? Then we're going to mount that to this one. Lay it right in there and try to center it. And that's the reason why I use the glue, because it's easy to get it positioned. And then you just kind of press on it all the way around. And you try not to get too close to the outside edge because it will seep out. But if you let it dry, you can use your hand, or we used to have a tape eraser. So we don't have that anymore. But you can use your embossing buddy that comes with a thing and then go around it, and then later just run your finger over it and it'll pick it up. Okay, so there's that. Next, we're going to stamp our flowers that we got to die cut out. So, remember the card? We need the big daisy, the medium daisy, and the Gerber daisy. So I'm going to pull those out. And I use a big stamp when I'm stamping with multiple stamps that I got to die cut. It's easier and it solves. So where's my big block? Right here. So I'm just going to lay it on there. Don't get them too close together, because remember, you got to put die cuts on top of that. And I have them right this time. So because this is a bigger area, you don't bring the stamp to the pad. You bring the pad to the stamp and walk it around. And now these haven't been inked. They were clean. So whenever you do that, you need to stamp it off and then re-ink again. So what you did is you're just priming the stamp, the rubber. There we go. And let me get my scrap piece of paper. What did I do with it? Oh my goodness, Gina. I was prepped. That's the Dimensionals. That's the other. Okay, here we go. We're going to stamp. Just evenly pressure all the way around. There we go. Very nice. And then we're going to take these centers and go ahead and stamp those. And there's the big one. And that's going to go on the large daisy. And then I'll clean that off. And then I need the small one that works for both of the other daisies. And usually whenever it's a small stamp, I try to use the corners of the pad versus doing the center, because otherwise it gets around the outside. If you do this, it gets on these four corners. Then you have a mishap, especially if it's something that you're not cutting out. That you don't want. I'll close that pad up. So, here we go. I'll bring the die cut machine back in. Move my blocks out of the way. So now you're going to have the platform. You're going to have number 2. Number 3 cutting plate. And you're going to place your daisies on here. And I'm going to get the dies out. And so here's this one, outline. And then we want the other outline. So you see it makes a solid one too. A solid one here. And then we want the Gerber daisy. There it is. Right here. So all 3 of them are the outline dies. Remember those Post-it notes I had earlier? This is what you do with them when you no longer need them. You just place them over to hold your dies in place. I'll show it to you once I get these situated. I gotta get them all lined up. And last but not least, the medium daisy. put that Post-it note over it. So you'll see. So this is what I did. Okay. Now we're going to put the extra plate right up on top of it. And then you just press down on it while you're rolling it in. There we go. And it's all done. Move that back out of the way. We gotta use the die cutting one more time for the same and the leaves that we're going to put underneath the daisy, but I'll do all of that at one time. Now, how many of y'all lose your dies? Make sure you have a magnet sheet that you can place them on. That's what my suggestion is. And a couple years ago, I gave everybody, probably about 5 years ago, I gave everybody like a 5x8 frame and took the glass out and put a magnet sheet in. So when they were working on it, they had some place to put it. So this is out of our way. And the scrap too. So there's that. There's those there. Okay, so we're just going to move those to the side. Trim my nails and I haven't got much there to pick it up at. So the next step is we're going to cut out these. So I'm not going to do 3 of them because I would have to cut it out 3 times. But I have 2 already cut. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And do the sentiment at the same time. Remember that scrap piece that we cut off? This piece? Yes, that's what we're going to use. So I'm going to set that up. And I'm going to get the die, which is this one here. This die. And then this sentiment. Okay? Now, depends how you are and what's easiest best for you. So you work with what's easier for you. Me, I'd rather stamp it out and then cut it out versus stamping after I've cut it out. So I'm going to go ahead and mount Oopsie Daisy. So sorry. So when you forget somebody's birthday, this is the perfect one to send. And then just line it up on the grid. Paper. There we go. And before I do that, I need to stamp this. So I'm going to use Memento Black. And I'm just going to do a little slight twist because this pad's not foam. It's cloth. Remember, I have to prime it. Now, it's all set. And there we go. We're going to stamp that up there. Press evenly. No rocking your block. Just press evenly. There we go. Clean that stamp off. If you get yourself in the habit of cleaning it off, you never have to worry about messing up another ink pad. Believe you me, throughout the years, that happens very easily, even by me. So, I know that for a fact. So we're just going to line that up. And I'm going to take one of these little Post-it notes that I used earlier. Press that across to hold it in place. And then we're going to line. Now, you see this detail? This die? Sometimes they're a little tricky when it comes to cutting out. So I'll give you a helpful hint. Wax paper or parchment paper, if you cut out and kind of leave it in there if you're doing quite a few. And that's what I did when I was making this for a swap. So, anyways, for just one, I'm not going to do that. And I don't really need to have to worry about putting a Post-it note on there because it's not really going to move. But I'm just going to go ahead and get it set up. Bring that machine back in. And roll it. And because I do have that detail die, I am going to back it up. And that's why I put a Post-it note on the same. Excuse the noise there. Let me get that out of your way. So I'm going to just pull this off. And this is going to just pop out. And this has a stitch edge all the way around. See that? Isn't that nice? Yeah, I don't know if I stamped on that one or not. Did I put flowers on this one? No, I didn't. I left it plain. Okay. Let me put that die out of the way. And then you're going to just pop this loose. And we have a die brush, but I didn't bring it in here, but that's all right. I have my Take Your Pick tool. Love this. But we have a die brush and some other attachments, and it goes on this end. So those of you that are not familiar with this one has a pokey part. It's a pokey part. You untwist, then it has the spatula side, and you slide that back in. And then they have 3 more things that goes on here, and then this one here, you untwist it, and then you can put your die brush that gets these pieces out of your intricate dies. And then you can just screw that back in. This side is for picking up sequins, rhinestones, small pieces, intricate pieces. It works wonderful. But just remember, you do have to have, it comes with 1 attachment and I think 1 refill when you buy it. But it doesn't hurt to always buy an extra set of refills. It comes with 2. Okay, so I'm just going to poke this out. All those pieces, and just poke through the hole. It's not going to poke a hole in it, so don't you worry about that. And then, as soon as I get that part, I forgot to push that one. There we go. Slowly, easily pull this out. See? There's that piece. Okay. So, let me just get the garbage and the die out of the way. And we're going to need that in a little bit, but let me put my cover on it. All right. Now we're going to finish up the card. And where did I put my base? There it is. Okay, we're back here. So the first things first is you kind of want to lay this out where you want these. So we want to put those kind of down where we want to lay them. So there's that. And then there's this. So you're saying, oh, I got to put glue on these. No, you don't. I left a piece of paper on this one. No, you don't. I'll show you why. So, your daisies. Remember these? Well, the first thing first is we want to put this saying on. And you can prop it up on dimensionals if you want, or you can just use the multi-purpose glue, which is what I'm going to use. Then we're going to place that on there. Just like that. Okay. Now, on the daisy, I'm going to place some dimensionals. And I do it even. And I tell my people, don't worry about it. We want to do 4 or 5 when it's a larger item. Okay, but 4 is good. And then the key on these, you just press down in the center. And if you don't have nails, you take your pick tool and you just pull up each piece. And it just takes the wrapper up. Well, that one's being stubborn. There we go. There we go. Got those peeled off. And then we're going to just place the daisy. And I got to make sure I place this daisy right side up. This is it, right like that. And you can just bring it over. Don't want that to go. You kind of don't want that hanging off, but it can hang over there where the blue is. And then just press down. And that's going to hold those nice little ferns. And then our next one, we're going to do our bottom one. This is I call it a Gerber daisy. My mother loves growing those. She can't do as much yard work like she used to now because she's 83 now. There we go. And then this one's going to go down here. And then the medium daisy is going to go there. Right in that area. And of course, we have to touch it off with some gems. Pretty iridescent pearls. Okay, I just peeled those off with my hands. And then we're just going to overlay. Let's get this one where we want it so it doesn't move. There we go. There's that. And then my jewels. They're iridescent pearl basic jewels. They're on page 140. I'm going to add a few of those. And this is where the take your pick tool comes in handy. So you can do this. You pick it up and you place the jewel and press down. They already have an adhesive. And the rule of thumb with any type of art, odd numbers work the best. So we're going to put 5 on here. Okay, there's that one. And one more. Excuse me. Put it over here. All right, I'll move that out of the way. So, and my stuff. So there is the done card, even though I faux-pawed on cutting too much off. And then when you open this up, you have the sentiment. Well, thank you for joining me.